Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Margot Thornton, and I struggled to conceive myself for over 3 years, and the doctors told me it was IVF or nothing, but I didn't lose hope, and eventually I was able to naturally conceive and give birth to my baby girl at the age of 40. So I'm really passionate about supporting and educating other women on their journey because I know it can be really challenging and isolating. And I really want to share what I learned and what worked for me because I know it can work for you too. So, what to expect today from this presentation? To ditch the confusion and stress concerning your fertility, to learn the 7 biggest factors that impact your fertility and what you can do about them, and also to find real solutions to balance your hormones and reduce the roadblocks inhibiting your fertility. So let's get into the details about understanding fertility. The incredible egg. So at birth, a baby girl will have about 2 million egg cells, and that's down from the 6 million that she had at 20 weeks in utero. By puberty, about 300,000 eggs, and then at maturity, only 400 eggs will mature and be released in the fallopian tubes for potential fertilization. The rest are reabsorbed. So we have really a finite amount of eggs that we're come into this world with. And we'll talk more about hormones involved, estrogen, progesterone, and the basics. I'm sure many of you know this from your biology, but just a refresher to start. The sperm meets the egg, and it's all about timing, technique, and the environment. So naturally, if you're trying on your own to do the baby dance, you have to know when to do it. How often, sometimes as we get older, especially with our partners, too much, it can actually have a negative effect. So if your partner has low sperm counts or has other issues, it might not be good to do it every day. It's actually recommended to do it every other day. Of course, you can find over-the-counter ovulation kits, and I do recommend those, especially if you're not familiar with tracking your cycle and things like that. I'm not going to get into all the details about that, but those can be a great way to really confirm when the right time is, because timing, especially as we get older and we have less eggs to use, timing is really everything. So I just wanted to mention that. Also, there are other things you can do to promote a fertile environment. Sperm like an alkaline environment. So there's things on the slide here, but I also want to share what really worked for me. Lemon water. I would squeeze a half a lemon in some warm water in the morning. That's great for the liver. It naturally does so many things. Boosts our immune system. It helps create an alkaline environment, which the sperm likes. So following an alkaline diet, there's other food items in there as well. And also you want to be careful about, you don't want to be using soaps because that can throw off the pH level, harsh soaps on your body. And if you do use lubricant, there's certain pre-seed lubricant that's been known to have promoting a fertile and alkaline environment as well. And also other strategies. Make sure you're well hydrated. It's something that a lot of women maybe forget. I always have my big jug of water that I have here with me. But really make sure you're getting enough water, but also electrolytes in your system too. And there's some herbs and supplements that can help. Of course, you want to consult your doctor. I'm not a medical doctor, but Vitex is an herb that can be really useful, and DHEA as well. So just some things to keep in mind. And then, of course, foods are so important, in addition to an alkaline diet. But cruciferous vegetables are actually really good for us in general, but especially if we're trying to work on our hormones. And they promote healthy estrogen balance. And they do this by helping modulate or regulate estrogen metabolism. It's really important that we get enough fiber in our diets, because if we don't have regular bowel movements and we're not releasing those extra hormones that build up in our bodies, then that's not good for a fertile environment. So green cruciferous vegetables are good for you. Also, cultured foods. So what does that mean? Things like yogurt and kombucha and other items like that, really probiotic type foods. Our gut microbiome is so key because we have to be able to absorb nutrients from, if we're taking supplements, but also from our diet. So it's essential to keep our hormones balanced and also our immune system, and really keeping inflammation at bay. So eating these cultured foods and drinks are very beneficial for improving the health of your gut microbiome. Sounds like somebody might not be on mute. I'm just going to mute everyone there again for a second. All right. So there's some other things you can eat to really help your hormones, including spirulina. It's a good source of iodine, and you need iodine to make hormones, especially for your thyroid to function properly. Some super green powders you can find. If you can't eat enough vegetables naturally, adding some supplements via like green powders to smoothies and whatnot can be good. Maca root powder is also excellent for hormonal health. Another key item in diet is healthy fats. I love avocados. That's a great way. I ate those regularly too, when I was trying to get pregnant with my daughter. And making sure that you have enough of the right healthy fats too, and that you make sure you have mono and polyunsaturated fats, full fat milks. They really help the body. So much like skim or low fat items are out there, but for fertility and balanced hormones, you really want healthy fats. So keep that in mind. And also for men too, it's important that they look at their diet, right? Because it's not all about women. So fatty acids are important for men too. Omega-6, omega-3, if they don't have the right balance of fatty acids in their diet, that can cause issues too. So more about healthy fats, of course, organic coconut oil is good. It's good to cook with. Extra virgin olive oil, wild-caught salmon, flax, chia, hemp seeds, unsalted raw almonds or cashews, avocado, like I mentioned. And if you can get pasture-raised eggs, that's also wonderful for you too. And it's good to note that all these items that you're hopefully going to be eating for fertility to get pregnant, but they're also good once you are pregnant. So it's really good to think about sort of that pre-semester or trimester before you get pregnant, the first 90 days before you actually get pregnant. That's how long it takes an egg to mature. So you can actually change your egg health and improve it within 90 days. So doing these habits, healthy fats, lots of fiber, they can really boost your egg health too. So like I said, fiber. So excess estrogen is eliminated through bowel movements. So if you're not regular, that can be a huge problem for balancing your hormones. If stools remain in the bowels for longer than normal, then you absorb more estrogen. Increasing your fiber will keep the bowels moving and prevent constipation. Studies show women who eat high fiber and have lower levels of circulating estrogen. And I'm talking about like roughly 30 grams of fiber a day. So trying to get it in every meal is helpful. All right, so let's look at the top 7 fertility factors. What are the biggest factors impacting fertility? So hormone imbalance, blood sugar imbalance or insulin resistance, weight, chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, the gut microbiome, and stress. And here are some common signs of estrogen dominance. Maybe you identify with some of them or one of them. Irregular periods, painful periods, low libido, bloating, PMS, hair loss, thyroid dysfunction, poor sleep, and the list goes on. So let's talk about blood sugar imbalance. Spikes in blood sugar can cause spikes in insulin. And insulin is just a hormone that moves sugar into cells so that it can be used for energy. Insulin is chemically like the ovarian hormones that help our eggs mature. The ovaries confuse elevated insulin with their own growth factors and downregulate the production of reproductive hormones. So it just throws things off. It can shift and interfere with the egg maturation and ovulation. High insulin usually means more fat storage and difficult weight loss. Consistent elevated levels of insulin can trigger excess testosterone, which may cause abnormal hair growth, acne, hair loss, that's sometimes associated with polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS. And PCOS is more common than you may think. It's not necessarily is easily diagnosable. There are 4 different types of PCOS, and it can be signs can be that you have irregular cycle, maybe light cycle. So it's also something to consider. I have more information on that. It's not the target of this talk today, but just wanted to mention it that if you're not sure, maybe you're having troubles with your cycle, that if you've never looked at that, talk to your doctor about it. And I have a checklist of things. If you're interested, you can message me about that. I have more information. But back to the topic at hand here. So weight. A balanced weight will be ideal for fertility and just your overall health in general. But if you're overweight or underweight, you can actually have problems with your hormones and therefore with fertility. So you want to aim for a BMI between 20 and 25. And there's information about excess fat can lead to hormonal imbalance as well. So if you have too much, you have excess estrogen, and then you have less progesterone. If you have too little, then you have higher levels of estrogen, which disrupts the menstrual cycle. So you really want to focus on ideal body mass index and just being aware of your health and what you're consuming. So you can always reference the BMI chart. I'm not going to go into the details of that. But chronic inflammation is another problem that affects fertility. So we have acute inflammation in the body, where we have a healthy response if you get a cut or a wound, and that's usually short term. The problem is with chronic inflammation, and that's an unhealthy response that's triggered by stress, digestive problems, environmental toxins, allergies, or other issues. It can be ongoing. It damages healthy tissue. It can lead to immune imbalances and insulin resistance. So what is oxidative stress? Perhaps you've heard that term before, but our bodies use oxygen and produce reactive oxygen species known as free radicals, and these can damage our tissues and cell membranes. So antioxidants balance these free radicals and prevent damage. And when the balance of free radicals is greater than antioxidants, there is oxidative stress. And you can combat this by eating antioxidants in your diet, like blueberries, for instance. So the impact of fertility and oxidative stress, fertility issues are linked to oxidative stress. Again, we have to look at our partners too. We know it affects them a lot. Men often, as they age too, they have a low sperm count, poor sperm motility, and that leads to problems with, the sperm and the egg coming together. Women, this can cause issues in women, also endometriosis, PCOS, like I mentioned, just a decline in ovarian function, often poor IVF outcomes as well. There are many factors, but some causes include rancid oils, lack of antioxidants in your diet, like I mentioned, smoking, environmental toxins. There's a lot of endocrine disrupting chemicals out there in our personal care products and our makeup, things like that. Chronic stress can cause inflammation and oxidative stress, in the body, infections, not sleeping properly. There's lots of issues and things that can cause problems. And back to the gut microbiome issue that I mentioned a little bit earlier, keeping that balance, eating probiotic cultured foods, keeping your immune system and inflammation at bay, balancing the blood sugar. It can help with so many things. So making dietary changes and supplements with probiotics, they also can improve chances with IVF if you go that rate, or natural pregnancy as well. And then stress is a big one. High stress can increase miscarriage rates, decrease pregnancy rates. When our body is in that fight or flight or sympathetic nervous system response, we don't make the right hormones. Basically, when we're under chronic stress, our body, it hijacks our reproductive functions. So the liver, as we know, is a huge piece of the puzzle, because it not only detoxifies things in our body, but it actually creates hormones out of cholesterol. And the liver produces pregnenolone, which is a precursor to progesterone. But if our body is under stress and the stress signals are telling the body we need cortisol because we're under stress, then that pregnenolone actually turns into cortisol. It doesn't follow the normal process to create progesterone and estrogen. Everything else trickles down. It hijacks our body. So if we're under stress for a long period of time, that's a great place to start. Of course, all the other items too, but if you can find something to do in your daily life to help reduce your stress level, that will be really key into letting the body do what it knows what to do. So getting it into the parasympathetic nervous system state, the rest and digest, because that's when the body will naturally make fertility hormones. It will be able to reproduce. And so it's, I think, a common thing where we're so stressed nowadays and we just keep moving on with our lives. But as we get older, our resilience to stress decreases. And we may not psychologically feel like we're more stressed than we were, but our bodies don't rebound as much. It's like we have that egg bank, you could think of it like a bank account. You have only so many, and the more stress you put on the body, the quality of the eggs can decrease. And we keep tapping in that to that bank of energy, but the more stressed we are and the more we think, oh, I'll rest later, I'll deal with that later, that hurts our chances with fertility. And to me, when I learned that about how really the hormones actually change, they don't go to reproductive hormones when we're under stress, that was really eye-opening to me. So, of course, everyone wants, to manage stress, but what does that really look like in your everyday life? It's something that our culture, it doesn't seem to really appreciate, by even just taking time out throughout your day, going for a walk, taking a few deep breaths, trying meditation. I teach my clients energy exercises, and meditations and different tools and techniques that they can help that will reduce their stress in their everyday life. And having that plan, having those techniques or tools that you can just pull on without necessarily going to a class or going to a gym, it's just finding little ways in your everyday life that you can incorporate things. For instance, every day in the morning, I have a 5-minute energy routine where I do certain tapping that work on certain meridian or energy pathways in the body, and it helps to balance my overall systems and little things like that. Yoga is another great way to balance stress. So I just want to really focus on the importance of that. Okay, back to the slides. So we talked about a lot of issues, but there's a lot of factors really that go into fertility. And you can see the picture there of all the things I've talked about. It's a combination of things. The timing has to be right. Your hormones have to be balanced. Your gut microbiome has to be healthy. You have to make sure everything is kind of running smoothly and optimally. And it's a lot. And it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot to work on. But if you do it and making it manageable and not get overwhelmed, and you just follow a step-by-step plan, it can be doable to balance your hormones, to get your stress levels under control. So there's a lot of common denominators that I see, these hormone imbalances, blood sugar imbalances, weight issues, gut issues, poor diet, not getting enough nutrients from your diet, and chronic stress, as I mentioned. So it's really important to really get to the root of the problems. So we're going to look at some of the root cause and resolutions in the rest of the chat here. Looking at certain medications and supplements and other products that can help balance hormones. Also, just be aware that some things are maybe temporary fixes at best, and really you have to dig deeper to find the root cause. So let's go into some of these issues and resolutions for them. So eating healthy and balancing your blood sugar, really a combination of healthy fats, enough fiber, and enough protein. A lot of women don't eat enough protein with every meal, and especially in the morning. And that can really help set the tone and keep your blood sugar balanced throughout the day. So making sure that you get, colorful, fresh, whole foods in your diet, eat the rainbow, as they say. Limiting caffeine and alcohol and processed foods is key too. And skip artificial sweeteners. And like I said, reducing stress is so key. You want to also reduce your exposure to what are called xenoestrogens, or endocrine disrupting chemicals. And they're all over our environment, and household cleansers, and personal care products, deodorants, makeup. You really have to be careful. The Environmental Working Group has a wonderful list. You can check for ingredients. I even share, recipes. I have a homemade shower and tub scrub that I use, and it works really well. Actually, you don't have to scrub very hard, and it's just using simple, non-toxic ingredients. Deodorant is another big one. Nowadays, thank goodness, there's a lot of products on the market that are healthy, but you can also make your own, sometimes for cheaper than what you can buy. And then, of course, the liver, as I mentioned, is crucial. Sometimes when we have too many endocrine disruptors and too much, our liver gets overwhelmed, and we really need to stop and support our liver. Our liver is our master detoxifier. And also stress management, as I said. And real quick, I'd love to share a quick energy exercise that actually helps to help your liver process more. So if you don't know, our bodies have electromagnetic energy in them. You know, Western medicine measures our heart, our EKG, the electricity that our bodies have, and our hands have electromagnetic energy. We can control the blood flow and also direct energy in certain pathways. You know, the ancient Chinese, they discovered this with acupuncture thousands of years ago, and the meridians are just these energy pathways that affect different organs and energy systems. So we can support our body using our hands instead of like needles with acupuncture. So that's just a little background on that. And I'd love to share a quick energy exercise with you if you'd like to follow along. This is a great one to help detoxify your liver. Our liver works with energy that expands and then contracts. So I will do a quick demonstration, and if you want to follow along with me, you're welcome to do so. So I'm going to move back just a little bit. And to set up, you bring your arms together in front of your body. If they can touch, great. If not, as close as you can. And then placing your fingertips just on your forehead there. So taking a breath in and a breath out. And then with your next breath in, you want to inhale and expand, bring your arms out to a goal pose position. And then as you exhale, contracting quickly. So with the breath, inhale, expand, exhale, contract quickly. Inhale, exhale. And if you want to try that yourself, feel free. I know for me, I really feel the blood flow through my shoulders, which is a common area. I hold tension and stress, and I really feel more grounded and energized after practicing that. And just know that it helps support our liver, because our liver moves in this expansion and contraction energy. I won't go into the details of where the certain points in the body are right now, but just know that that practice can help support your liver so that it knows how to detoxify your body and just supports doing what it knows best. Okay. So back to the slides here. Again, back to the diet, you know, really making sure your gut microbiome is balanced. You can supplement your diet with high quality probiotics, including soluble fiber and complex carbohydrates, which are the preferred foods of beneficial bacteria, the good bacteria in your gut. You don't want to eat excessive amounts of red meat. I'm meant to add that. And also limit sugar and fats in your diet. And manage your weight, you know, making lifestyle changes, trying not to be too restrictive with your diet. I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, eat healthy and give yourself, you know, cheap breaks 20% of the time, unless you do have a condition, a thyroid condition perhaps, or PCOS or something where you shouldn't eat gluten or other issues that you know will cause problems. Then you want to be more strict with your diet, of course. But for most people, you know, eating real whole foods, ditching sugar, balancing your hormones, resolving your stress, hydrating, that's another one, drinking enough water, getting plenty of sleep, and not just, you know, the hours of sleep, but good quality sleep and the time you go to sleep. This is something else that I learned that I want to share. If you can go to sleep by 10 p.m., those 2 hours before midnight, those are so crucial from a Chinese medicine perspective. Those 2 hours are worth like 10 hours of sleep, because our cycles and our energy systems and our organs, they have rhythms, and certain times of the night correspond to different energy pathways, without getting into all the details. But just knowing that really our bodies, they need to process certain things, and they do that naturally in certain time frames. So if our bodies can be asleep and resting during that time frame, it's more restorative. And also, a lot of people sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and then they can't fall back asleep, and that's a whole nother issue too, right? So sometimes practicing just guided meditations before you fall asleep can be really useful as well. And I have some available if you're interested, for free, that I can share with you as well. Some of ones that I've done. I also taught yoga and meditation for years, so I have that to share with you too if you're interested. And then, of course, moving your body too, and whether it's simple walking, yoga, nothing too strenuous when you're on your fertility journey. You want to be healthy and exercise, of course, but just be mindful, especially when you do have your period. Go easy on yourself. All right. And some other things that are great for, fertility friendly fitness, a rebounder, a little mini trampoline. I don't know if you've ever heard of those, but I recently got one and it's great for your lymphatic system as well. And it can provide quite a workout actually, but it's low impact. So that's another good thing you can do. Yoga, as I mentioned before, is great. Some resistance training and making sure that you're doing conscious relaxation, not scrolling on your phone. That doesn't count as relaxing. Doing a guided meditation, practicing focusing on your breath for a few minutes, whatever it is for you. Walking out in nature is really a great thing you can do too. But also keep in mind that if you don't change anything, if you've been on your fertility journey and it's not working, if you don't change anything, your hormones are going to stay a hot mess still. You're going to continue to suffer with fertility issues and you're continue to stay stressed with your health. So whether we work together or not, I hope that I've at least inspired you to maybe make one change. I hope you can make several changes, do something different, and then you'll get a different result. So again, I just want to thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you found something useful and informative.